Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go straight to the front lines. Russians mostly stacked, however they still want to perform many of the attacks and all of those are repelled today by Ukraine. We have even some of the videos and images. Let me show you some of the screenshots from the place. Just to look at this picture, many of the Russian BMPs and a single tank were stopped by Ukrainian defenders at a single spot. Well, not by the FV drones nor by artillery, the simple anti-tank mines did this job. And later on Russia sent some of the sappers to put and mark the flags and also mark the way for the BMP. However, something really went wrong with this one. Russians sent a single BMP vehicle through the safe corridor and it went fine at first, but later on the vehicle kaboomed at the safe corridor. Also, I was really surprised that the crew and all of the infantry was inside by that moment. If you are not sure about your getaway, just get away from the vehicle and let it go with a single driver. That would minimize the casualties. But no, they went all in through the safe checked area, marked as you can see over here, but still it didn't work. They still continued to go through the same direction. It's zombie style. It happened in Kupiansk region where the fights are recently intensified. More of the Russian units decided to break through Ukrainian defense in Donetsk Oblast, but everything went very terribly wrong for the Russian assault forces, and here you can see the tiny little part of what I usually share. Yes, I take this information from the other Telegram channel, so I share it also on my Telegram channel. It is available with my personal link in the video description just below. You may check everything out there. Plus, Russia again moved their BDSM tanks to fight. Why do I call them like that? Well, you'll know later in this video. And here you may spot the Russian Kama strike full of infantry, and to target it, Ukraine used the HIMARS GMLRS cluster munition shell. Here I can't tell you what happened to the Russian infantry because of the platform restrictions, but you may try to guess. Right, about Nova Alexandrovka, where Russia advanced recently, Deep State military map confirms that Russia almost fully taken this village under control, but still Ukraine keeps a couple of the buildings under control. The heavy fighting is ongoing. Well, it's obvious that Russia will occupy this village fully and they will try to advance towards a very important highway. We'll see how it goes. Probably they will not be successful because next month Ukraine obtains quite important weaponry. I wonder then at the middle of the month or at the end of the month, but for sure Ukraine will be able to repel all of the Russian attacks. So you can see that Russia is also exhausted. They take the ground but just little by little, and with the heaviest losses possible. It cannot continue for a very long time. All of the pro-Russian bloggers who are saying that Russia is winning, Russia is taking the ground, but for what cost? If Russia follows its current pace with losses, for sure there will be a new massive mobilization among the Russian men and not the last one. Alright, what is happening? A Russian battle priest with a huge cross in his pocket, probably perishing the remains of the Russian tank. Well, priest, you'll have lots of the job to do. And who is he? Is he from the same religion service? They have two main things to do. First, to bless the tank, and later on to pray for its perishment, or how would you call it in English? They seem to be happy with their job. By the way, on the background you see them star as Russian self-propelled artillery, or the remains of it. The only place where Russia had the movement recently is near Krasnohorivka, so yesterday and today they've took those households. That's it, kind of the small advantage. They need Krasnohorivka to advance towards Kurahovo. Before Russians occupied Marinka, but they are unable to proceed forward without expanding their bridgehead because Ukraine will strike them from behind. For this reason they need Krasnohorivka, and only after that they will go to those settlements, and only after that to Kurahovo. My friends, if you want to support the job that I do daily on YouTube, you may also join my Patreon. The link for my page is available in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your motivation and for your awesome support. Well, kind of the interesting and the fresh news we have here, the Russian military sources claim that the Russian Air Force has shot down the American drone over the Black Sea, which was flying over the neutral waters. Yes, America usually conducts surveillance missions in the Black Sea, providing some of the data for Ukraine. Well, the information is not yet actually official, but it comes from the Russian military blogger, the fighter Bomber, who used to be a Russian military pilot and who has lots of the friends in the Russian Air Force, so usually he publishes quite reliable data about the Russian losses. And in his second statement, he said that we are waiting, okay? It means that he already switched the reverse gear. What do I think happened out there? Well, basically the drone operator just switched off the transponder of the drone. That's it. It means that it's no longer visible for the Flight Radar 24 service. Right now, even the Russian channel says that the American drone finally made it to its destination, Sicily. It's the main base for the Global Hawk drone. As I say to you, just a transponder was switched off. Guys turned it on in European airspace. Okay, there is some sort of the kaboom with fire in Moscow. The Russian Research Institute of the Telecommunication Technologies, which was working for the Russian military, somehow turned into this way. The facility is totally ruined and there are very important engineers by that time in the building. I'm still waiting for more details about the case because some sources say that it was a drone attack and some sources say that just fire erupted. Maybe someone smoked at the wrong place. But as usual, the place is always good for Ukrainian side. Like it happened, for example, yesterday in Yevpatoria, Crimea, where a very important communication satellite station was hit by the drones, and Russia lost 30% of their satellite signals. The signals from satellites are coming to the ground and they need some sort of the receiver. So it was the receiver for the group of the satellites, including the Russian analog of GPS, GLONASS. The system which wasn't really working properly before, and now Russia has disturbances in its operation. Russia uses GLONASS for their military. Actually, the United States of America also developed GPS system for their military at first, but now we have GPS in every phone. It went commercial and earns lots of the money. This particular station is beyond repair, so Russia needs to build a new one. It takes lots of the time. It means that the part of the Russian communication, including the satellite communication, is paralyzed for a long time. Something is happening in Belgrade just right now. We see some of the factory which being struck by the drones. I think that those are not big news any longer. Ukraine does it daily or each night, targeting the Russian infrastructure, including some of the production facilities. I'm gonna check out the information of what particularly was hit. And this video was filmed by Ukrainian FPV drone. You may see some of the building. It is Russia, Belgorod Oblast, very close to Ukrainian border. So locals put Ukrainian flag just to mark that there are no Russians inside. It's not the Russian temporary base or something. There are just some of the Russian civilians who probably live there or who left this house and just put Ukrainian flag to avoid the damages of their home. So definitely Ukraine is looking for some sort of the houses where the Russian soldiers are being located. The Russian soldiers are just living in civilian buildings, pretending that they are locals, and later on they go to attack Ukrainian territory. It is kind of the interesting case from the Belgorod People's Republic, which is friendly for Ukraine. It is kind of the small village, but here you may see that this building was damaged, probably by the drones. Probably Russia already put their base over there, but the rest of the buildings are intact. Unlike in Ukraine, where Russia continued to perform their strikes on Ukrainian households, this is just a local building with a gas pipe, by the way. Russians do not have the gas pipes in remote villages, but Ukraine has those. It is the local village near Pakrovsk, around 40 kilometers away from the front lines. Right now we have the most possible detailed satellite images from the Yeisk training facility. Experts, after analyzing all of the images, concluded that there was the building with the Russian barracks, and also there was the hangar with the Russian drones, including kamikaze drones like Shahids and the surveillance drones like Zala, very capable ones. Luckily, all of that was demolished with the help of the Ukrainian drones. Well, hopefully soon Ukraine will get the permission to use long-range ATACMS. The Wall Street Journal came out with an article about the Ukrainian drone boats. They say that Ukraine uses a new tactics for the drone boats. Because Russia is basically blocking the access to the Sevastopol Bay, Ukraine is unable to use drone boats as the kamikaze. That's why Ukrainian side is using the drones to put sea mines near Sevastopol, for example, where at least 4 of the Russian Navy ships got damages because of this remote mining. The Ukrainian mine's cover is made out of plastic, so they're hard to detect by echo radars because plastic just absorbs that sonar signal, so it's impossible, almost impossible, to detect new types of the sea mines. So there could be various missions which drone boats might conduct. Also, Ukraine is looking to increase the production of those Sea Baby drones. If Navy has enough of those drone boats, they might overcome some of the number of the Russian ships in direct fight. And Ukraine is also making some of the new boats for the infantry and for the assault operations, patrolling and the landing operations. At least there are many seats inside for the soldiers, so it's like a floating armored BMP, but on water. It has a couple of the guns to clear the way before landing, and later on this door opens and infantry goes to the shore. This guy just tells about this boat. Well, maybe it means that Ukraine is getting ready for some sort of the landing operation because it will have many of those boats. As promised by one of the main businessmen of Ukraine, Rinat Akhmetov, who is in charge of this project. Or maybe it was just a single boat made for advertisement of that businessman. Who knows? Because promises from those guys sometimes are not real. Ukraine has a new brigade general, his name is Andriy Gnatov, and he's much better, I hope, than the previous one. Basically, he will perform the command duties over the large group of Ukrainian forces, all of the forces which are taking part in the war against Russia. He is the commander of this resistance, let's say. I would call him the third most important commander. The first one is defense minister, the second is general commander, and here is the commander of the Ukrainian defense forces, which are fighting against Russia. Before that commander was Yuri Sodol, who is a real butcher. And basically Zelensky put Sodol in command instead of Naev, who was the friend of the ex-Ukrainian commander Zaluzhny. And today Zelensky finally dismissed him after many of the complaints. The Azov regiment says that this general is responsible for many of the Ukrainian mistakes, and they say that Ukraine lost more army men because of his action than the actions of the Russian generals. I also heard quite bad stories about this general. Well, luckily he is dismissed. And now the Azov Brigade Chief of Staff requests investigation into heavy losses caused by Ukrainian army general's poor command, so this guy is really incompetent. I think that definitely his actions should be prosecuted, and it was his job to change the brigades near Ocheretine, where Russia had a significant breakthrough and the Ukrainians had to leave positions. It happened just after Avdiivka. You probably know this massive Russian assault, which is now still expanding. Also, the Ukrainian intelligence and special services arrested, as this article says, mole among border guards. So one of the Ukrainian border security officials was working for the Russian side, providing Russians with important information about the internal staff in border security control. For this, he might face a life term in prison. And I believe that there are still lots of the moles or rats, not just in border guards, but also in Ukrainian army command, unfortunately. Russians continue to modernize their tanks. I remember one of the media sources, as far as I remember Financial Times, I could be wrong about it, called those tanks a homosexual tank. They mentioned a turtle tank with the name Gromazeka on board, so they translated Gromazeka to homosexual. Well, actually it has nothing in common with orientation. No, Gromazeka is just a cartoon movie. Gromazeka is big and heavy, so that's why Russia called their tank Gromazeka. But now people call them homosexual tanks. Well, maybe with all of those chains and meshes, I would call it a BDSM tank modification. Yes, definitely everything fits here. Zed would love this tank. A Russian motorcycle soldier POV. Here you can see lots of the vehicles are just lying on the sides of this road. Well, not just vehicles are lying there. I cannot show you the full picture, but I think that it smells terrible on this road. And this time it's the Russian all-terrain vehicle. There are tons of the videos published by the Russians themselves showing all of the demolished vehicles, which are mainly Russians. And this, well, how would I call it? By the way, it's the Ukrainian-made car Tavria, which was quite popular in 90s. The Russian propaganda media accused Serbia for betraying Russia and the Russian interests. Just to remind you, Serbia supplied some of the munition for Ukraine for the price of $800 million. It's quite a lot, especially for this small country. So here's the quote from one of the Russian propaganda media shows: "Serbia behaved like a cheap, finished whore. There are no brothers for us anymore in this world. Damn this Serbia." So now Russian media has a new script to blame Serbia for selling their weaponry. Well, probably the only brothers for Russia are Koreans, and just Northern Koreans, and maybe Taliban. Meanwhile, the Kremlin spokesman Peskov said that they heard that Serbia supplied some of the weaponry to Ukraine, and they will continue the dialogue with their Serbian friends, that's what he said, using the diplomatic channels. So for Russian propaganda, those are enemies, but for Peskov, those are still friends. At least he says like that.
Even I won't buy bacon anymore, it's too expensive. I said, I'd love to have some lovely bacon, darling. And she said, no, I'm sorry, it's too expensive.
Maybe we should send a humanitarian load of bacon to Donald Trump. He really suffers. Yeah, guys, I sometimes make stupid jokes. Don't pay attention. Here I just want to say that do not trust politicians. A billionaire, or now a millionaire probably, saying that he is unable to afford bacon. What should I say? And they lie about everything. All of the politicians, not just Donald Trump, but he especially. And now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.